take mass transit.
The city of St. Louis is saying farewell to a living institution. Ben Abel has been predicting the
Hello, hello. There we go. So have you made, oh yes, I have audio. Welcome to the Mad Scientist Tea Party. And you have cookies. And this is Chris McMahon.
Chris, is Dr. Dick.
Dr. Dick.
How you doing?
All right.
Okay.
Is the doctor purely a affectation, or can you write me a prescription?
Well, I can write a prescription for you. Definitely scientific.
Well, I think you better get one writ while you're here.
Are we in need of scientific?
Are you serious, or is this...
Are you talking to me or him?
You know what?
No, Dr. Dick is a ex-deputy sheriff.
Oh, okay. Hello.
How you doing?
I got no problem with that. There've been a couple of times I needed the cops, and a few times they threatened to throw me in prison. I mean, it just depends on...
That's what you get for calling.
Yeah. No, well,
that's what happens.
I worked as a paralegal for a while, and they were too cheap to hire a private detective. So back when I could drive, I've been out shadowing jealous husbands and jealous wives and all that kind of thing.
How long were you a paralegal?
About 3 years, and then I crashed a car, and it's kind of hard to follow somebody on the bus.
You can answer some questions. I've been looking at your card here, and I've noticed that it doesn't give out a whole lot of information. It has that little symbol up there
For justice.
So it implies you're something to do with the Justice Department? No.
It just means the scales of justice is what it is. It means it's fair. You try to
be fair.
Try to be fair.
Okay, but it doesn't really say. It doesn't really take me to a website, and if you hadn't written the phone number in, it would only allow me to leave you a message, so it doesn't really give out a lot.
Well, the reason being, sometimes when I used to pass those cards out, I've had them for a long time, I don't want them to have my direct number.
You want some nut calling you?
Oh, no. Leave me a voicemail.
I don't want to freak you out, John, but you do realize that my cousin, he moved here to take care of my grandmother, but that makes him the local representative for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Does it?
He's it. If you need an FBI man here, you call my cousin.
Okay, good.
He was trying to come see me, but he got lost.
He got lost?
Yeah.
Hook me up. I'll show him where you live.
Well, that's fine. He already knows where I live. He just couldn't find it.
He's there now.
That's my uncle. No, that's my Uncle Eddie's son. He has no use for me.
Uncle Eddie's son?
He's an FBI agent.
Yeah. Oh, Uncle Eddie was...
He was working in D.C.
Uncle Eddie was a drunk and a junkie.
My favorite uncle. By a long shot.
Yeah.
Really?
Chris and I have been friends for many years. He's friends with Casey Waters. Is how I've recently gotten back in touch. I got to go get water for tea.
He's got to get some water.
What do you do now? I mean,
Well, I do contractual work for the government, but I'm not gonna go in detail on the air.
well, I don't expect you to.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with law, though.
Well, I just wondered, I mean, what you do now, because John's is hung up on the idea that he has this thing about the police. I don't know what, you know.
He has a thing about police?
Yeah, he doesn't like them. I mean, which is,
Well, you know, that's
I mean,
his prerogative.
well, yeah, to me, I mean,
Normally, when you don't like police, it's because you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing.
not necessarily. The thing is, even when I worked at the movies, is that we had policemen that were off duty but in uniform, and hey, I got, you know, I've needed them before. You know, I mean, I don't have a problem with it at all. You know, I mean, and I have done a lot of things I'm not supposed to be doing, but
Hopefully not doing anything today that you're not supposed to be doing.
no.
He's sitting here at the tea party.
He's at the
behaving
tea
himself.
party, that's good.
Matter of fact,
himself,
I'll
yeah.
just be, you know, you didn't ask for my life story, but the only reason I'm not doing things I shouldn't be doing, I've been on the methadone clinic for some time. And
Where's that clinic? Is it here in Asheville?
there's two of them.
Two of them.
Two of them.
Now, wasn't it a while back that someone went to the methadone?
Yeah.
So they say it, methadone clinic, and they lived in Johnson City, and they got pulled over in Madison
Oh,
County.
yeah, they've been doing that a lot now. They've set up a roadblock in essence.
And
Yeah.
they charged him with
Driving while
DWI.
impaired, sure.
Yeah, because he'd left the clinic and they
Well,
doped him up or something.
Well, yeah, but don't blame it on the methadone. It's all that BS he took on the way out the door.
Oh.
It's not. I mean, for example, I can tell you where the one that I go to is right beside Matthews Ford. And it's a legal prescription, and it will not impair you if you... Now, I've got a friend at that clinic that walked out the door there, took a bunch of Valium, and actually ran over and killed a poor lady who was standing in her yard potting petunias. You know, people blame it on the methadone, but that's not, I mean, if you're still taking a bunch of shit you're not supposed to take, that's not their fault.
Chris,
Mhm.
I have to ask you to be careful with the words you say.
Oh, right, there's 7 words I can't say.
That we're live on TV.
Hi there.
Maybe I forgot to tell you that we were live on TV now.
No, you forgot to mention that. I like
We were
that.
live. We were live.
Yeah.
You want a cookie?
Mhm.
These are, I'm glad you asked about these cookies.
So
These cookies were made and produced in a nearby county. Pour something out. Just reach in there and get you some. There you go. So this methadone clinic, how many people do you think goes to this, utilizes this service? How many would you say?
Several hundred,
Several hundred?
at least.
So you just this one, or can you go to both?
Oh, not at the same time.
Okay. So they kind of know if you're trying to do.
Oh, they know
another
if you're
way.
doing anywhere within a 500-mile radius. They're not stupid.
Huh.
No, you can't do that.
And then once they find out you need to go to this methadone clinic, how long is the session? How long will it take?
What do you mean? To get from
To
the
get
time you
to-
walk in the door to the time you get on there?
No. How long will it take before the addiction problem is filtered away? That's the main purpose.
Until the day you die.
that's right. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you something. From what I have noticed, if people who go to the methadone clinic,
Uh-huh.
if they're not really, really, really hardcore addicted, they will soon be.
Oh no.
Yes.
That's sad.
That is sad.
Well, what you don't understand though, and then I'm saying it's a subject to something because I don't want to offend the people who own it. But the point is, to put it bluntly, do you have any children, for example?
No.
All right. But the point is, if I wasn't on the methadone clinic, I'd either be stealing your toaster oven or selling dope to your children to support my own habit. Methadone was simply a legal way to, if you don't get high, it simply makes you normal. And as a matter of fact, you better not be getting high on anything else. I'm drug tested on a regular basis. So I'm not gonna criticize it. It's kept me alive and out of prison,
Well,
and
that's
a
good.
number of other people. Now, just like anywhere else, you're dealing with a population there who aren't exactly, I mean, there's gonna be people doing all sorts of stuff they're not supposed to be doing. I was one of them. Until I've hit the age and so forth where I simply, I don't want to, I either stay on there or I'm going to go jump off a bridge. I mean, I'm fine as long as I'm on there. It's either that or have a private doctor give it. I mean, it's and I obviously have a physical condition that causes me pain. But I didn't know what pain was until I started doing stuff like that to ease it. He's right. I just thought I had a problem until I started doing that.
Yes, what's your language?
Right.
If you can't,
Mm,
then I'll have to put you in the other room.
right.
Yeah, we need to keep that.
This
Well,
is cable. Look.
In this case, but it's before 11 o'clock at night.
I like
We're
your
live.
what? That's the.
There's a phone. That's the little
That's
logo.
That's the bad scientist thing.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's the we're real scientific here symbol.
Oh, I see. Well, you might be interested to know, since we're talking about the methadone, let me tell you one other thing about it. When you used to go to the pharmacy and ask for it, you referred to it as Dolphine.
Dolphine.
Dolphine. They dropped the A. Our friends, the Third Reich, invented it because the British had control of all the opium in the world.
Huh.
And they had to give wounded soldiers something. And with their usual efficiency, it works very well, trust me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not a pleasant, I'm not bragging about it. I would have rather spent the last 30 years of my life doing something else. Trust me.
Well, it's it's just a sad thing.
Of course
I mean,
it is.
I mean, it's sad.
Terrible.
I hate that that's going on, but I mean,
Well, I mean,
So what he's telling you is that they named it after Adolf Hitler
of course, that's what I meant. Yeah.
originally.
really?
I just changed the name of the prescription a few years ago because people were asking for Dolphine, and it's a little,
They dropped the A off for Adolphine.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, if you had anything to do with Adolf Hitler, I'd want to be on medication too.
Well, there's that. I mean, it worked. I'm not going to criticize it. It saved my life, and it does. There's a direct correlation between the number of methadone clinics and the crime rate. I mean, it's
Less methadone clinics, more crime. Is that true?
it's absolutely true. I mean, by the
So that
time
would actually make a lot of sense. I can understand.
I
And part of I believe part of the scheme, from what I have observed, is that part of the deal with the methadone clinics and stuff like that is that they want their clients to be addicted. They want them so addicted that they'll be there every day on time for the methadone clinic, that they don't want them to take a chance on messing with anything else. It's methadone clinic, heavily addicted to methadone, and the only source of their methadone being that.
Gosh, well, that's
Keeps
job
them
security
under
for those
control.
folks.
Well, it also keeps them under control. And control, I think, is a whole lot of what the methadone clinic is all about.
Well, it is, but they're not. To be honest with you, they're not as control. I mean, they've got you under complete control, of course,
Just gonna get some of these for you.
but they're not.
I got no thoughts. No, I
You're
don't
not.
either. I gave him gin. I'm sorry. You better eat all you want.
You got some.
Delicious.
I got some show and tell. We'll get to it when we get ready.
Delicious. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Interesting. See, I didn't know. I knew there was methadone clinics. I didn't know how many, nor did I know how many people. I'm sure that's kind of a confidential kind of information about how many.
Well, I can't tell you who
Yeah.
else is on there.
Well,
I mean,
I
I
know
personally don't care if they. I just shouldn't have told you about the guy. I hope he's not watching, because he felt bad about it. But
Well,
I mean,
You didn't tell his names.
no. Well, I mean, I can tell you. I don't care. To tell you the truth, your buddies in the sheriff's office would be relieved that I'm on there. You know.
Well, you know, some control is better than no control.
Exactly.
You know, John, that's probably regretfully though,
Hello?
it would be better if they could get you off of it, if there was some other means.
Well, I've been hospitalized twice of my own volition trying to get off of it. It's not anybody else's fault. I mean, if you really want off of it, there's about a 3% rate of people who quit it, and that's it. And that's pretty high. I mean, I have a medical situation that, I mean, I'm actually in pain. You know, so I mean.
If you haven't noticed, Chris is blind, crippling, crazy.
No, you're cross-eyed.
Cross-eyed, crippling, crazy.
No, cross-eyed crippling.
Okay.
Crazy. Okay.
In case you haven't noticed, Chris is cross-eyed, crippling, crazy.
Right.
You almost could, like the guy on Howard Stern program. Don't he have like a guy that's kind of crazy and crippled? Yeah, there's some guy he has on there as a guest.
Never cared for Howard Stern.
I don't care for Howard either.
You know,
Never was.
Don Imus either, for that.
Yeah, he's Don down the road, buddy.
Yeah. Now, let me put in a plug for my group home. See, that's one thing that happens to you.
Your group home?
I live in one now, which is very unusual for me. Even my parents never told me what to do. But I ended up, you know, they'll tell you in AA that you ended up in jails and institutions or dead. They're right. I'm in a group home. And I wouldn't have stayed there this long, but I like my babysitter very much. She's a fantastic lady.
How long have you been there?
About 3 months. Got there February the 7th. And the point to this is, John was talking about politics before you got here. I didn't realize I'd run into you. But I mean, I'm completely, you know, I used to work. But one thing, you won't find me criticizing the government too heavily because they could just euthanize you if you're not working. You'd think they'd be trying to kill me off as fast as possible.
Just to save themselves the hassle of dealing with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean, and they don't. So, and that's because, largely, you know, I mean, the Judeo-Christian ethic, you can say what you want about it, but they, you know, I live with 5 other dysfunctional people, and they actually take pretty good care of you. I mean, it's not, I personally desire more out of life than this, and, you know, I'm not going to stay there till the day I die, like we hope. I mean,
I'm glad you got a good place. That's good.
I like my babysitter very much. Fantastic lady. And I mean,
Maybe she's watching it right now. Did you tell her you're going to be on TV?
I told her mother.
Did you?
Yeah. I didn't tell her I was going to be on TV. I didn't have no idea I was going to be on there.
Yeah, I
told her
kidnapped him.
Yeah.
You kidnapped
I
her?
kidnapped him and brought him down and put
I
him
mean,
on.
I told her if she wanted to watch the rest show.
Mm-hmm.
But we had trouble picking it up.
But you could call. You do? You don't? Do you have cable TV?
Of course. But we haven't, last 2 weeks we've had trouble picking you up. You were interrupted by something else both times.
You want to call her and tell her?
We were
She didn't
interrupted.
know.
Well, I want to know about being interrupted. I didn't know I was.
One time it was technical difficulties. The next time it was I don't know, some folk dance show or something. It was on at 4 o'clock.
Oh well, one day, like Friday several weeks ago, we weren't on because they weren't open here. It was a holiday.
That's right.
It was like Good Friday, so we weren't on Good Friday. And we,
Well, I didn't try to watch you Good Friday. You said you were on Wednesday through Friday.
and we were and technical difficulties. Well, we usually start out with technical difficulties. That's part of the show.
Honestly,
See, that's what you see. You got to experience a little of that. Although I've been trying to get it going a little smoother, and I have been getting a little smoother. Sometimes I'm late for my own tea party, and it has been maybe as long as 20 minutes into the show before we actually had audio. I mean, we had to do a little run around today to figure out why the audio wasn't happening.
Lip readers out there.
It was found. It was. The problem was solved by pushing some buttons on the switcher, you know,
Let me ask you this: do you have any kind of breakdown on who's watching? I mean,
we've talked about
but we're
that.
being monitored by City Hall.
Yes, City Hall.
City Hall is watching. They're watching us from downtown. They seem to have an interest in the Tea Party.
Good for them.
But I tell you what, I'll get Jonathan to put my number up and see if he won't call you.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get Jonathan
All
to
right.
do that.
Okay. See if Jonathan can get a crawl for us.
I don't even.
Does the lighting look odd to you today? That doesn't look like usual, but this
I'm gonna go in there. I'll check it out.
doesn't that look odd?
Yes.
It does, doesn't it?
I don't even remember
Anything
who
to
the.
do with how bright that is? No.
I can say I don't remember who the mayor is now. It used to be Liddy Sitton.
No, we have a new mayor. It's a
Yeah.
black woman.
Oh, that's right. What's her name?
And she used to go to school here. I can't remember. You know, I'm so bad on names. And she used to go to
Terry something or other.
Mhm.
Not nice lady.
Right. We like her. We like her new mayor pretty good.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. She was here for our opening ceremonies.
Oh,
and
really?
And she's been real sweet to us. And we just
Well, no wonder they're watching you. You made it sound sinister.
what?
That City Hall was keeping her on.
Well, that's how I feel. You know what I mean? That's it's all Big Brother to me. You know. How long have you known me?
Monster, but Dick Nixon's been dead for some time, John.
Yeah, but you know what I found out? It wasn't all Dick Nixon. I thought for so long I thought it was all Dick Nixon. And you know what I found out? I found it out it goes back to George Bush's granddaddy.
Oh, which one, the Walkers or the...
Prescott Bush.
Press Bush was all right. He was far more liberal than his grandson.
Well, Prescott Bush not only financed the building of the first Nazi headquarters, but he ran a bank in America that was a money laundering operation for the Nazis. And then when...
Well, what's your point?
well,
They sold munitions to both sides too.
Exactly. We know this. Okay. Then when J. Edgar Hoover took the bank away and shut down his money laundering operation, he severed contacts with Hitler. 4 years after severing contacts with Hitler, he picked up a new politician he started backing, an unknown Richard Nixon.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is,
I gotta get you more water.
Yeah.
So okay, here you go, and the good mic is on you, and entertain the folks. Don't say no.
well, I don't dislike Prescott Bush. Never have. I never met him either. But me eating a cookie is the most scintillating television that you folks are ever going to see. I'm certain, but they're pretty damn good, whatever they are.
Are they all gone?
Oh no! Yes, you better get to them before I do.
I'm telling you.
He said they were locally produced.
In Hendersonville, I believe they make these things.
Oh, really?
They're good. I see he brought a microphone. We like microphones. We're all
Yeah,
about
we always have.
here.
This is not a Neumann by any chance.
No, it's not.
What is it?
It's a cheap Japanese brand microphone. I mean Chinese mic, and I can't even remember the brand. To be honest
Right.
with you, I've modified it.
Honestly.
So
I do want to know one thing about Hendersonville. I lived there for a year and a half, and I didn't mind living there. But every time a raindrop fell, a public utility went out. So if you're watching this at City Hall out there, get with the program, folks. I mean,
a single raindrop could take out a utility.
pretty much. I'm exaggerating a little, but not much. I'd have called you from out there, but every time it rained, the damn phone went out. So,
Well, You can plug this event right here.
Excuse me? Oh, National Day of Puppetry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I read that wrong to begin with. I thought, I don't want to put in a plug for that, but never mind. National Day of Puppets. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What is the date?
At the Folk Arts Center, April the 28th, which is tomorrow, folks.
Wow.
So grab your puppet and get on out there. That's at the Folk Arts Center. It's on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Now, if you don't have a puppet, I assume a sock will do. I see, right?
And there'll be a lot of puppets out there, and I think. Well,
speaking of puppets
are not. You don't have to have a puppet to get in.
Right. Well, you always did all sorts of interesting things. But speaking of puppets, we're back to the bushes.
Right.
No,
so not only was Reagan a puppet, but so was Nixon.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you got to admit, I hate to do it in front of you, but looking back, considering what he actually did, we've taken such a turn for the ugly since Richard Nixon that he looks good by comparison. I mean, the man was basically the father of affirmative action and started the EPA. You know, compared to what we've got now, he was, Nixon, if you didn't like it when he did something, yeah, that was just pretty well TS. He didn't bother with the Constitution, he just did it. So,
did you know that Richard Nixon did more for civil rights than
Well, that's what I just said. He was basically the father of affirmative action. He didn't do more than LBJ, but he didn't have to. So that's what I mean. Compared to now, Richard Nixon looks good. I mean,
unfortunately, John, we can't do thing on the screen. He has to cut a live feed.
Oh, there's somebody using the studio.
Something's going on in there, and he said it would be difficult right now.
Right. Well, that's the way it is around here. Sometimes we can get it to crawl, and sometimes we can't.
Is the T right?
It's close.
It's steeping.
It's steep.
Right.
And we have another bottle.
As long as we're on the subject, I don't have a lot of air time, so I'll mouth off here. Do you realize, of course, that if they weren't still suppressing the black vote, Al Gore would have been president?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, frankly. I mean, I couldn't get very enthusiastic about
Al
Al
Gore, is he a skull and bones? Is he a fraternity brother with George Bush and all that?
I don't think he was in Skull and Bones. Didn't he go to Yale? Anyway, I mean, I didn't have.
I thought they were all skull and bones.
My favorite president in my lifetime would be Clinton, frankly.
Mine was Kennedy.
Of course, yeah.
And I have, and in my life as I've grown up, I was born in 1950. So through the 50s, I was very much a child through the 50s. And then through the 60s, all of my teenage years were in the 60s. I found that the 60s were a very good period to be a teenager.
Yeah,
I think I lucked out really good on that. All that was
So your teenager years, you were in the prime of John Kennedy's presidency.
No.
Early on.
Early on. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, you were 13.
Right. So, but as I've watched the whole second half of the 20th century pass by and tried to get an overview of the whole thing and bring things into perspective, our country was extremely affected by 9/11.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I think the country was extremely affected by the bullet put in Kennedy's head, too.
Yes.
And I will say, that I was profoundly affected by that, as he has pointed out, around age 13. And so that's been an issue that I have dealt with. Until prior to that, everything seemed good and right with this country. The first president that I really remembered was Eisenhower, and it seemed like that was in the days when you trusted what the preacher said, you trusted what the president said. There was no reason not to. And I was a child, and I was brought up in a very